My mother-in-law's invitation came with a smile so sweet it could rot teeth. I should have known better poison often hides in honey. For 3 years, I'd navigated the minefield of my husband's family, particularly his mother, Evelyn. Her warmth always felt like a performance, a mask that slipped when no one else was looking. I'm vegan, have been for a decade, and it's no secret. It's not just a diet, it's a choice rooted in my belief that compassion extends beyond humans. Evelyn knew this. She'd rolled her eyes at my rabbit food comments at every gathering, but I hoped this dinner would be different. She'd called me personally, her voice dripping with sincerity, insisting I join the family for a special evening. "We want you to feel at home." "Clara," she'd said. I believed her. Foolishly. The drive to their sprawling suburban house was filled with nervous anticipation. My husband, Mark, squeezed my hand in the car. "Mom's trying," he said, his voice hopeful but strained. He wanted peace between us, and I wanted it too for him. I wore my best dress, a soft green number that made me feel confident, and brought a homemade vegan dessert, just in case. The autumn air was crisp, the leaves crunching underfoot as we approached the door. I could smell roasted meat from the porch, and my stomach twisted. Surely, there'd be something for me. Surely. Inside, the dining room glowed with candlelight, the table a vision of excess, platters of roast beef, creamy casseroles, and butter-drenched rolls stared back at me. Not a single vegetable in sight, unless you counted the garnish on the steak. My heart sank, but I forced a smile, scanning for anything I could eat. Nothing. Evelyn caught my eye from across the table, her lips curling into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Clara, dear. Sit. We've got plenty," she chirped, gesturing to the spread. The family Mark's siblings, their spouses. His father shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting between us. I sat, my plate empty, my face burning. Mark frowned, leaning toward his mother. "Mom, Clara's vegan. You knew that. Where's something she can eat?" His voice was low, but the room went silent. Evelyn's smile didn't falter. "Oh, Clara's fine, aren't you? You're so flexible." The word dripped with mockery. I wasn't fine. I was humiliated. She'd planned this, invited me to a feast where I'd starve, knowing full well my choices. It wasn't about food, it was about power. I could have left. I could have stormed out, slammed the door, and never looked back. But I stayed, gripping my napkin under the table, my nails digging into my palms. This wasn't just about me. It was about Mark, about the family he loved, about proving I wouldn't break. I forced a laugh, light and airy, though it felt like choking. "Looks like I'll stick to water tonight," I said, raising my glass. The family chuckled nervously, grateful for the deflection, but Evelyn's eyes gleamed. She'd won this round. Dinner dragged on, the clink of forks and knives punctuating awkward small talk. Mark's sister, Lily, tried to change the subject, asking about my job at the animal shelter. I answered politely, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying every slight Evelyn had ever thrown my way, the snide comments about my weird diet, the way she'd forget to invite me to family events, the time she'd gifted me leather gloves for Christmas, claiming it was an honest mistake. This dinner wasn't a mistake. It was a message you don't belong. Mark reached for my hand under the table, his thumb brushing my knuckles. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I nodded, but the hurt lingered. He didn't see it the way I did. To him, his mother was difficult but well-meaning, a product of her generation. To me, she was a strategist, wielding kindness like a weapon to mask her cruelty. I'd tried to bridge the gap, to find common ground, but tonight proved it was futile. She didn't want peace, she wanted control. As the meal wound down, Evelyn stood, her voice bright. "Clara, you didn't eat a thing. Should I whip up something special?" The offer was a performance, her eyes daring me to call her out. I smiled. my voice steady. No need. Evelyn, I'll manage. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me crack. Instead, I excused myself to the kitchen, pretending to grab more water. Alone. I leaned against the counter, breathing deeply, fighting the tears that threatened to spill. I wasn't just hungry, I was exhausted. Exhausted from pretending, from biting my tongue, from trying to fit into a family that didn't want me. When I returned, dessert was being served my vegan brownies, the ones I'd brought, now sliced and passed around. Clara's contribution, Evelyn announced, as if she'd made them herself. The family praised them, oblivious to the irony. I wanted to scream, to tell them this was the only food I could eat, the only thing she hadn't tainted. Instead, I took a bite, the chocolate bitter on my tongue. Later in the car, Mark was quiet, his hands tight on the wheel. I didn't know she'd do that, he said finally. I'll talk to her. I shook my head. It won't change anything. He looked at me, his eyes pleading. She's my mom, Clara. She's complicated. I wanted to tell him she wasn't complicated, she was cruel. But I didn't. I loved him, and he loved her. And that was the wedge she'd driven between us. The next day, I woke with a fire in my chest. I couldn't let this go. Not for me, but for the principle. If I stayed silent, Evelyn would keep pushing, keep testing, keep winning. I called her, my voice calm but firm. Evelyn, last night was unacceptable. You knew I couldn't eat anything, and you planned it that way. If you can't respect me, we can't be in the same room. There was a long pause and then her laugh, sharp and cold. You're so sensitive. Clara, it was just dinner, but I heard the crack in her voice she hadn't expected me to push back. I hung up, my hands shaking but my resolve steady. I told Mark everything, every detail, every hurt. He listened, his face a mix of guilt and realization. I didn't see it, he admitted, but I do now. It wasn't a fix. Not yet, but it was a start. We agreed to set boundaries, no more family dinners unless Evelyn could respect me. It felt like a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Weeks passed, and the distance from Evelyn was a relief. Mark and I grew closer, our conversations raw and honest. He began to see the patterns I'd lived with for years. When Lily called to apologize, saying she'd been too scared to speak up at dinner, I realized not everyone in the family was against me. There was hope, however faint. This wasn't just about a dinner gone wrong. It was about standing up to someone who used love as a weapon, who hid behind family to justify control. It was about choosing myself, even when it was hard, even when it meant risking the fragile peace of a blended family. I'd spent years trying to please Evelyn, to prove I was worthy of her son. But worth isn't earned through suffering. It's claimed. What do you think, was I right to confront Evelyn? Or should I have let it go for the sake of family harmony? Where do you draw the line between respect and self-respect? Share your thoughts on justice, family, and standing up for what's right.